Yo, what's up, guys? I want to talk about NIO. A lot of people hit ridiculous baggers off that read. Like I said, I think last week, anything that goes up on my Twitter that's a read is a high confidence play that I'm likely looking to get in myself. So congratulations to you guys. I want to explain how it works. Also, I've had to refilm this thing like five fucking times in the first minute because of some cough or something. So you know what? If we make mistakes, I'm just running with it. So the first thing I want to talk about is this being kind of a like a mashup of a lot of different things that we've taught, particularly around the last two YouTube videos, the how to read flow, and then the how to sort your watch list, which will be really important here. A little bit of stuff from the Yeet too. So how last week plays into it, last week's tutorial, is sourcing your watch list. Now, remember what I said for your watch list is that you want to go through whale alerts and kind of use that to get a sense of what you want to pop in, to be looking at, something that you want to be checking every day. So here we have, I think it was last week, yeah. So last week we have some stuff around NIO. Particularly what was interesting was there was a 12/31/34C, right, on Christmas Eve that was 13% outside the money. And then if you go and look at that, you go to the 23rd, you can see, where's the 23rd? There it is. All right, so when that came through, NIO was nowhere really near 34. It's 13% outside the money. So that's going to go in my master list watch list over here. And then that's also going to go into my usual options list. And then I keep a list for volume no I. So I've looked here. It's in my watch list. I think it's good. I'm really curious about that. For those filters, you probably want to have things on for what's the most unusual, things that are outside the money, things that expire within a week, things that are ask side, things that are volume more than OI, just things that make the play feel a little more unique. So once I've done that, and I've got my sourcing and I've got the ones to look at, how I'm deciding what play might be a home run is by looking for a couple things. The first thing is from what year is this? This was Yeet 17. Also, seamless plug. You should read the Yeet. It's got memes, tutorials, that kind of thing. So this was in Yeet 17. We did a flow tutorial called Divergence. So what Divergence focused on was flow against the price action for stocks, right? So what we're talking about is when you see something red and the flow is really green, or when you see something green and the flow is really red, that's what I call flow divergence. So for example, here you could see whenever I made this back in the day, Snap was red and the flow was really green. I think it ended up like rocketing that day. So that divergence is really important in helping you decide what's unusual. So when we talk about that kind of divergence, I want to use the example of NIO when I was looking at it yesterday, because as you could see from the tweet here, NIO flow yesterday at about 9:40 was 83% bullish, 83%, right? Which is astounding, and here's the reason why. Sorry, my notifications keep popping up at the corner. It was astounding because yesterday at that time, NIO had just had a huge candle and was not getting any higher than 28.50. It's not getting higher than 28.50. It's down for the day some tremendous amount. I think it was down like 7% or something. Yet you keep seeing these repeated buys on the flow side. So what that brings up is this other thing that we taught in the tutorial, which is about catching bottoms with flow. So if you look and see here, NIO, once it hit about 27.78, right, it bottomed, right? And then you see that 28 level really act as a support. And if you go back, you actually see it happen here too. Last Tuesday, supported 28. And then you see yesterday supported 28, supported 28, supported 28. So when I see that kind of support and I see that kind of flow accompanying it, what is the reasonable assumption that one could make? The reasonable assumption would be that looking just with your eyeballs, right? You don't have to be a technical wizard. God knows I'm not. Um, if it gets to 28, people buy it. If it gets to 28, people buy it. So when I see this, I think to myself, wow, when NIO gets to 28, people really like it because you could see that they're buying it up at that 87% clip. But that's 42 dug once wrapped, it get deeper. So what else you've got here? When I see the flow, let's go through the progression really quick. I've seen the play on the alerts because of the alert that's in my watch list to check on. When I check on it, it has 83% bullish flow while it's down 7%. So this is unusual, right? Particularly in the context of that outside the money alert we saw for 1231. So where's the next place I'm going to go? As always, and this is set for today, so I can or yesterday, so I can show you some stuff. But as always, I'm going to go to the quick view. And the reason why I'm going to go to the quick view is I see something unusual. Let's see if the volume backs it up. So obviously today, the 33 call had extreme amounts of volume. But what I was looking at particularly was yesterday. So let's go to the, it's called Avengers in game. I'm ridiculous. So you go here, right? And we can see from, this is from yesterday, was a quick view set. The quick view said that there was 15,927 to 2126 volume to OI on the 29 call, 16,534 to 827 on the 28 call. All of a sudden, we got stuff trickling in for the 30 call. So what this is telling me is that this might be something that's a bit unusual, right? So now we got the quick view. So again, I'm going to go through the progressions as we go through this so that you can have a clear sense of how my mind is working here. So in the beginning, we looked at the alerts. We found something unusual. The unusual alert put NIO onto our watch list. Once NIO was on our watch list, we checked the flow, as is our routine, and saw incredibly bullish flow that was divergent from their price action that day, being that it had fallen 5 to 7%, and suddenly somehow the flow was green. After seeing that the flow was green, I wanted to investigate further, and so I went ahead and looked at the quick view, and I saw that the volume made zero logical sense. So from that point, there's like one more level of investigation, in that we want to make sure that the volume we're seeing is not a bunch of contract sells, a bunch of flips, a million different kinds of strategies. So what I did was I just went to the actual strike and expiry for that, the strike and expiry for that contract that I saw was popular. So that 29, I saw the volume on, I went to look, right? Just a quick tool in case you guys don't know how to look for that. You're just going to go to the filters here, on the left-hand side, select one expiration. So for me, yesterday I was searching the 1231. And then down here, this is strike range. So then the strike range was 29 to 29. So I want to see a 29 call. So now I've got all the 29 call info, right? So that is how I got the information on here yesterday. Looking at that information, I'm looking for two things. Number one, I'm looking to see that it was straight call buys, right? The second thing I'm looking to see is that those call buys are on the ask side, or at least at the midpoint. So when you look at all these orders that came through yesterday in that period between like 9 and 10 o'clock, what do we see? We see calls bought at the midpoint. We see calls bought at the midpoint. We see calls bought at the ask. We see calls sold at the bid. We see a put bought, boo. We see more of this call buy at the ask, call buy again at the ask. So this continually happens. So what does that tell me? My eyeballs can tell me that this is more bullish call buys than it sells. So the volume that we're seeing is bullish. The second thing that this could tell me is that I'm seeing it on the ask side. I know that it's urgency, and I know what I'm seeing is true. And then one last level that we might want to look at is the historical volume on the 1231.29C. Remember, in the last YouTube video, we talked about how to get to that historical volume. And so what you're going to want to look at here is to make sure what you're seeing is indeed correctly elevated. So on 1228, which was Tuesday, it had 36.46 flow, and then the next day that jumped to 22.657. So obviously there was something real to that, and this was not these were not a bunch of contracts that were really. This was unusual, is what I'm trying to say. This day was obviously unusual between here and here. So between here and here, that leap is unusual AF. So I've got several degrees now of confidence that something's going to happen with NIO. The first of those being, I saw the alert that was 12% outside the money a week ago, so I put it on my watch list. The second thing that I saw was divergent flow as taught in Yeet 17. Read it, the yeet.substack.com. I saw that divergent flow that I put right here. Let's see. Okay. That divergent flow right here, while the price was down 7%. The other thing that I saw were the technicals that align with that flow, in that we see the 28 acts as a level of support, and that's where the stock gets bought up. When it hit there, the 29 calls went just absolutely crazy. We could probably also see here on the daily, same thing, support at 28, support at 28. So once we have it confirmed with the chart, we see the divergent flow. The last thing that I did was go to check the quick view, and then I confirmed what I was seeing on the quick view for that 29 call volume by checking it out myself and looking for if it was bullish or bearish, what I was seeing. So one thing I'd like to point out is that normally you want to check the open interest the next day to make sure those contracts are held, right? Volume is the contracts changing hands. Open interest is the contracts held. High volume to open interest usually means a frenzy. But the next day, when it reloads in the morning, you also want to make sure that what you're seeing is continued OI and that those positions weren't sold off. But the reason why in this case I felt comfortable with that read without that extra level of confirmation yet is because of the fact that that activity was for a 12/31 expiration, and I could see that it was bullish. So I didn't really need extra confirmation to have a pretty strong sense of what was happening. So that is NIO. If you have questions and stuff, DM me at your boy Mel. I'm going to get better at answering these, I promise. And that's it. Again, tutorials completely free, weekly, free now, free forever, theyeet.substack.com. And remember to build your watch list, guys. Keep an eye on the flow, and let's hope we get another NIO next week. All right, bye, guys.